Incredible facts about the Titanic. Welcome to our channel. The sinking of the Titanic in the early morning of April 15, 1912, is still considered one of the worst passenger ship disasters in history. Over 1,500 souls lost their lives that night due to the lack of lifeboats and a crew that was not prepared to handle such an incident. There are many stories from the survivors and witnesses of that terrible night, recounting tales of heroism, as well as the deeds of cowards. The truth is that, unless we were there, it's impossible to really know the fear and chaos that enveloped the passengers and crew as their unsinkable ship quickly descended beneath the wave. While there are many known facts about the Titanic, many of them being featured in popular media, there are also quite a few things you might not know. From daring rescues to the unsung heroes of the night, we decided to compile a list of pretty bone-chilling and incredible facts that might change your entire perspective on the sinking of the Titanic. So before moving forward on this journey, please subscribe the channel now, and don't forget to press the bell icon for latest updates. The canceled lifeboat drill. Originally, a lifeboat drill was scheduled to take place on board the Titanic on the very day that the ship hit the iceberg. However, for an unknown reason, Captain Smith canceled the drill. Many people believe that had the drill taken place, more lives could have been saved. Expensive to operate. The Titanic burned about 600 tons of coal each day to keep it powered. A team of 176 men kept the fires burning, and it is estimated that over 100 tons of ash were injected into the Atlantic each day the Titanic operated. Only seconds to react. From the time the lookouts sounded the alert, the officers on the bridge had only 37 seconds to react before the Titanic hit the iceberg. In that time, First Officer Murdoch ordered, "Hard A starboard," which turned the ship to port left. He also ordered the engine room to put the engines in reverse. The Titanic did bank left, but it wasn't quite fast or far enough. Another boat was closer for rescue. When the Titanic began sending out distress signals, the Californian, rather than the Carpathia, was the closest ship. However, the Californian did not respond until it was much too late to help. At 12:45 a.m. on April 15, 1912, crew members on the Californian saw mysterious lights in the sky. These were the distress flares sent up from the Titanic, and they immediately woke up their captain to tell him. Unfortunately, the captain issued no orders. 2 dogs rescued. The order was for women and children first when it came to the lifeboats. When you factor in that there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board the Titanic, it is a bit surprising that 2 dogs made it into the lifeboats. Of the 9 dogs on board the Titanic, the 2 that were rescued were a Pomeranian and a Pekingese. Rich and famous. The estimated overall wealth of the passengers in first class was $500 million. Among the famous people who died on the Titanic, the wealthiest by far was John Jacob Astor, who was worth over $90 million, over $2 billion in today's currency, and he was one of the richest people in the world. No one knows all who died on the Titanic, although the official number of the dead on the Titanic was 1,503. Of the 2,208 on board, there were 705 survivors. Over 100 unidentified bodies were buried in Fairview Lawn Cemetery in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Many people traveled under false names and from so many different places, it proved impossible to identify even the recovered bodies. Dance band on the Titanic. There was an 8-piece band on the Titanic, led by violinist Wallace Hartley, who had to learn 350 songs in the songbook, handed out to first-class passengers. As the Titanic was sinking, they sat on the deck and played music, and all of them went down with the ship. The Titanic's newspaper. The Titanic seemed to have everything on board, including its own newspaper. The Atlantic Daily Bulletin was printed every day on board the Titanic. Each edition included news, advertisements, stock prices, horse racing results, society gossip, and the day's menu. The Titanic's treasures. The Titanic movie included the heart of the ocean, a priceless blue diamond that was supposed to have gone down with the ship. This was just a fictional addition to the story that was likely based on a real-life love story regarding a blue sapphire pendant. Thousands of artifacts were recovered from the wreckage, however, and many pieces of precious jewelry were included. The majority were auctioned off and sold for some rather incredible prices. More than one movie. Though many of us know of the 1997 movie Titanic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, it was not the first movie made about the disaster. At least 11 have been made, depending on how you define Titanic movie. The very first movie made about the Titanic disaster was released in May 1912, a month after the disaster. It was a silent movie called Saved from the Titanic in 1958. A Night to Remember was released that recounted in great detail the ship's fatal night. There was also the 1953 20th Century Fox production of Titanic. Another Titanic movie was produced in Germany and released in 1950. In 1996, a Titanic TV miniseries was produced. People died on the Titanic even before it set out. During the 26-month construction of the Titanic at the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, 28 serious accidents and 218 minor accidents were recorded. 8 workers were killed. A 43-year-old shipwright, James Dobbin, was actually killed on the day of the Titanic's launch. Dobbin was crushed during the process of removing the timber stays which had been holding the ship upright, the largest liner in the world. On her launch, the Titanic became the largest movable man-made object. She was 269 meters long and 28 meters wide. From keel to bridge, she was 32 meters high, 53 meters to the top of the stacks. Room for 1,000 more, around 2,200 people were on board when the Titanic sank in 1912, but her maximum capacity was around 3,500. Of these, 1,000 would be crew. In 1912, there were 908 crew members, but fewer passengers. There were 324 in first class, 284 in second, and 709 in third. In first class, Titanic was a place of luxury. The Titanic had 4 restaurants and passengers ate off the 50,000 pieces of bone china crockery supplied by Liverpool Stonier & Co. There were reading rooms, 2 libraries, 2 barber shops, and a photographic darkroom on board. There were just 2 baths for all of the passengers in third class, many of whom were bunked in the 164-bed dormitory on Deck G. Kindly tell us that which part of video do you like most. Also hit the like button and share it to friends.